Today I will give an overview of the book Dialogue Games, written by a Finnish writer Laurie Colson. In this book, the writer dealt with discourse grammar of natural language and a semi-formal framework for describing conversational discourse in some detail. In this presentation, I will discuss structure and logic of dialogue, maxims of conversation, important types of conversational move, the semantics and pragmatics of question, propositional attitudes of the players in a dialogue game, strategies players can use to communicate their propositional attitudes to others. How can players use the rules to test their assumptions for consistency and examine their logical consequences? In the end, I will give a short review of this book. The writer has started this book with general introduction of discourse and discourse analysis. According to him, subject of discourse analysis is discourse, and discourse is any sustained stretch of speech. Discourse analysis is how we understand coherent discourse, and the aim of discourse analysis is to discover the rules for the production of coherent discourse. A discourse is coherent if it can be extended into a well-formed dialogue game. Here, the writer has used the word game instead of using the word language. According to Wittgenstein and Lodwig, language and a game have somewhat a relation in context of rules, but it is not a rule-bound activity as of structuralist. It means that the language of discourse is structural as well as functional. Let us know about what dialogue is. According to Laurie Colson, dialogue as a technical term will not be restricted to its usual meaning of a two-person exchange, but covers monologue as well. Dialogues are cooperative activities of information exchange. When two people communicate, it's in their own best interest to make it go as smoothly as possible. Information of a dialogue is not based on independent sentences, but it is placed in linguistic pragmatics. There are two types of dialogue: question answer dialogue and imperative mood. In question answer dialogue, players are involved in the activities of reception, processing, and transmission of information. And in imperative mood, players' strategies are set by various activities. Now, see what are maxims of conversation. When you write or talk, you generally do so with the purpose of conveying information. And the better you are at conveying information, the more likely people are understand and accept what you have to say. There are some simple principles described by a linguist, Paul Grice. These are known as Grice maxim of conversation, which help to avoid these mistakes in communication. The writer of this book used these maxims as rule of dialogue. As rule of dialogue games, there are four maxims of conversation: maxim of quality, relevance, manner, and quality. Maxim of quantity means say neither more nor less than the discourse require. Relevance means be relevant, and manner means be brief and orderly, avoid ambiguity and obscurity. Quality means do not lie and do not make unsupported claim. Beside these four maxims of conversation, Laurie Colson added maxim of agreement and maxim of consistency also. According to Laurie Colson, a player who follows these maxims in a dialogue is called rational. A rational player is one who follow all these maxims. These are the maxims and description of maxims. Now there is an example for you from which it will be clear how these maxims are fulfilled. For example, player A asks, "How do I get to market?" And player B answers, "Go straight ahead, turn right at the school, then left at the bus stop on the road." Here you can see maximum of quality is fulfilled as information is genuine, not a lie, according to the assumption of the player A. Maximum of quantity is fulfilled as information is neither more nor less, and maximum of manner is fulfilled as information is orderly and there is no ambiguity and no obscurity. These maxims ensure that conversation is maximally efficient, rational, and cooperative. It also ensures that we understand conversation. Now see another example from which you will have an idea how these maxims are flawed. There is an example from Hamlet. Polonius asks, "What do you read, my lord?" And Hamlet answers, "Words, words, words." Here, in this example, you can see how Hamlet deliberately gives less information than is required by the situation and so flouting the maximum quantity. At the same time, he deliberately fails to help Polonius to achieve his goals, thereby flouting the maximum of relevance. We can choose to ignore the maxims to create a particular effect in the conversation, as we can violate the maxim to intentionally mislead the speaker. We can opt out. The maxim means we can refuse to cooperate in the conversation. We can flout the maxim means intentionally give ironic sense to the conversation. Now see conversational moves. Dialogue moves are divided into several general types. There are initiative moves, counter moves, and continuation moves. Initiative moves are those that are related to earlier moves. These are initiative and start of a conversation. For example, greetings of the conversation are included in the initiative moves. And counter moves are related to earlier moves as responses or replies to them. Continuation moves look back to other dialogue moves, but they have additional restriction that they are made by the same player as the moves they respond to. Moves are inferential and explanatory steps of reasoning in a dialogue. Inferential moves are those from which a player infer from the sentence. When a player has put forward a sentence, he may infer another sentence from it. And explanatory moves are those when a player has put forward a sentence, he may put forward an explanation for it. Any move by the opponent invites the proponent to defend a logical consequence of the original sentence. Now see what the structure of a dialogue is. Structure of a dialogue game is complex and moves are related to each other by dialogue game rules. As you have seen that the structure of a dialogue is based on the moves that are initial, counter and continuation moves. The initial segment of the dialogue gives us history of the play we are considering, and last move of dialogue may follow earlier moves or it may constitute a counter move or continuation move to one or several earlier moves in the same sequence. According to turn-taking convention, whoever speaks first speaks next, unless someone has been particularly given the floor by the previous speaker. Turns may be jumped quite naturally when intervening move addresses a superordinate topic. Let's see what is the semantic and pragmatics of question. You have seen that in a dialogue there are certain kinds of question, and what is the semantic and pragmatics behind these questions? See one by one. A direct question amounts to a request by the questioner that the addressee bring about a certain epistemic state. Yes no question gives functionally complete answer. Indirect sentential question derives particular interest. Follow-up question is a straightforward inquiry about further instances of the same sort. Simple negative questions are always elementary questions that are answered by its declarative form. Who questions can be satisfied by an indefinite answer, and simple which questions are context dependent and answered by definite description. What carries a presupposition of contextual uniqueness in a dialogue? A question is not accepted or denied but answered or not. The range of the question quantifier in a dialogue is restricted to the individual's concept. Now see what are propositional attitudes. There are various ways that we can embed a proposition into our utterance and express a mental attitude toward that proposition. Our utterances communicate an information that express our mental attitude. For example, in this example, you can see there are the words know, suspect, think, and doubt are used that show the propositional attitude of a player. In this example, you can see by using these different words, the total propositional attitude of the sentence change. For example, there he is saying, I know that Pat ate the sandwich. I suspect that Pat ate the sandwich. I think that Pat ate the sandwich. I doubt that Pat ate the sandwich. These examples show varying degrees of commitment in the truth of proposition. Now see what strategies are there told by Laurie Carlson to communicate propositional attitude. According to Carlson, any player may put forward any sentence in any order. To maintain relevance, prefer a short dialogue over a longer one. Put forward a sentence only if you accept it, and put forward a sentence only if you accept its contrary. Do not put falsehood and do not put a sentence in past subjunctive only if you suppose it. When a player has put forward a sentence, he may argue for it by a sentence that is evidence for it. And when a player has put forward an answer to a question, any player may reply to him by putting forward his answer to the same question. When a player has put forward the presupposition of question, any player may ask him the question. The questioner play the game of asking and answering according to the rules of the game and following a rational strategy choice relative to appropriate background assumptions. Now I will give the review of this book. This book is written by a Finnish writer Laurie Carlson in 1958. The writer attempted to develop a fairly abstract unified theoretical framework for the description of discourse which actually helps to explain concrete facts of the dialogue of the discourse grammar of a natural language. This book is divided into two parts as you can see. The first part of this book is about the structure and logic of dialogue, and there are 8 chapters in this part. These chapters are based on the solution of several specific linguistic problems in simple and a natural way. In the second part is based on 5 chapters and the study of dialogue function is described in these chapters. In these chapters, author provides new definition to traditional text, linguistic concepts as discourse, coherence and cohesion, discourse topic and subject, theme and rhyme, and given and noun information. applied in rules of discourse grammar to data from actual and constructed discourse. Example: the new definition explains previous observation and unreads new facts about English sentential connectives and stylistic rules of word order. The author has used inductive method for description in this book. The theme of this book is inductive. He explains example and then go to rules. With several relevant examples, he has made easy to comprehend the difficult topics. In the end, I would recommend to read this book as this book is useful and informative for those who are related to the field of discourse analysis. Thank you for your attention.